Okay, this video will be the first video for building out the M4A Protocol UI. Okay, so the M4A Protocol UI is built with Ionic framework. You can see that here. So Ionic framework is used by some pretty big companies, and a good reason to use it is that it's really flexible, right? You can, build something for the web, but it also ports over to the phones very nicely. So it was designed really to be mobile first, but yeah, you're building it works on both. So you can have one code base for your web and your mobile. So it's good in that sense. Although I think they actually have an app and like Apple's in the Apple Store or even the Google Play. So I think you have to pay like uh some rent-seeking fees to Google or Apple. So that's a whole nother thing. You could just have the website and people could just visit the website on their phone. But if you wanted an app, it would make make it easy to have a Google Play Store app and an Apple app if you wanted to play to pay them for that. So if you click get started, it'll take you here and try to make you sign up or sign in. And yeah, you don't have to do that. You can just go to docs and guide. The first thing that you'll have to do is make sure that you have your environment set up. You're going to need an IDE, VS Code, which you should have if you went through the Jesus 110 section with Selenium and Python and all that stuff. Aside from that, you also need Node and NPM. Yeah, NPM comes packaged with Node. But yeah, you're gonna have to install that and have that set up. They recommend the LTS for compatibility version. I think that stands for long-term service. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Everyone has a different acronym for a bunch of stuff. But yeah, you're gonna need that. And you can be sure that you have it with these commands. But let's go ahead and set up a repository. Go ahead and set up a new repository. Use M4UI, already on folder, but yeah. And just go ahead and delete these and pretend like they weren't here. Okay. Nope, not that. Okay, and we can open that directory where we will be working. You can open a terminal, set up. Not right now. Okay, so we can make sure that we have Node and NPM already installed with those commands. Make sure and see what version we have. If we didn't have them installed, we wouldn't get anything. So we have Node version, and we have an NPM version. So if you have that, you have your IDE, then you should be good to go as far as the environment is set up. I guess they also mentioned Git, which I think in the Radiant Media Player walkthrough we installed that. But yeah, you don't necessarily need this unless you're committing to a repository in GitHub. But if you just want to will work locally and have all your stuff local, you wouldn't necessarily need that. Also, it's worth noting that VS Code comes with Git. So installing that Git is always so that you can use those commands and like a Windows command window. If you want to use Git commands in here, you would need it. But I mean, yeah, VS Code already comes with Git, so you could commit and clone repositories just with VS Code without even having to install it. So I think that's also worth mentioning. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the environment. Now the client install, since we have npm install, you would do this npm. I don't think I had it previously uninstalled, but I will run this just in case. Like on this version of Windows, anyway. Go ahead and run that. Way we can be sure that everything was installed. Okay. Now let's try Ionic Start. See what it gives us. Nothing. QVC cannot be loaded because I have to save it on the system. I'm not sure if we have to possibly open another terminal since we just installed it again. Let's see. That's a little weird. There's no words here for the directory that we're in. Also says okay, it says PowerShell. Maybe it's the wrong type of window. How do I open just command instead of PowerShell? Let me try that. Ionic Start. There we go. Use the app creation wizard. There's a wizard. You don't have to use a wizard. I think that would probably take you to something like this. Let me see if it does. Nothing happened. It's stuck. I didn't even want to do that. I seen it loading for a second. Slime. Very lame. Off to a bad start. Control C out of that. Try it again. No. Okay. So we are going to be making a Vue project. Call it M4A. And we will be using a side menu, which is how the platform was built. I wonder if maybe I should have just closed the whole thing and reopened it. Oh, now there it goes. An Ionic account? Nah, I'm good. Okay. So I think that is it. So now we have a template to start from. Now, in order to actually run this locally, we can just do Ionic serve. What have you made? What the fuck M4? Oh, I see. They made another directory, M4 UI and M4. Well, I don't really care for that, but I guess we need to cd to M4A. Now do Ionic serve. Okay. It should just open in another browser on its own, but if not, it would just be here. I think it will just open eventually. But yeah, should be running locally, and there it is. But I think it might still open another window on its own. I'll see if it does that. It's the first time, so it might be doing some other stuff. But yeah, it gives us an app that sort of looks like a mailbox, sort of. But yeah, no, this is oh, there it goes. Yeah, might be slightly slower. But yeah, you could also just in your repos, if you were in here and you open this in a command window, you could do Ionic serve here and it would work just the same. But yeah, we did it in this terminal. But yeah, that's how you get started. Okay, so go ahead and just kill everything in these terminals so that they're not in the way, and we can just run it from a normal Windows command window, Ionic serve from my project. Then we can go ahead and get started. So in our file explorer, we can start looking at our files and start seeing what's what. So in source and in app, let's see, you can go ahead and install the recommended Vue extension so that we get our color. We can install the recommended Vue extension so that we get our color and suggestions and stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. This is the official one. This will make coding a lot easier. Okay, I think it's done. It's an extension, so now we can come back here, come back here to app, and now we can see in color. Okay, so the first thing that we can change is some stuff on the Ion menu so that it can start to look like the actual website. So Ionic Ionic has pretty good, let me see. Ionic has pretty good documentation on all of the pieces and elements and building blocks that it offers. So if we go to this Ion menu, you can see that it will tell you all of the different options or different parameters that you can have for controlling the menu. There's menu types, there's overlay, and it does a good job of showing what all the different properties are, right? So we see this type on the Ion menu, which is what we have now, which is overlay. This is the reveal. And this overlay, and this is push. Maybe a little hard to tell, but you can see push. This thing literally pushes this to the side. And overlay, it goes on top. So it's kind of subtle to really notice the difference. This is literally pushing this screen to the side. Overlay, it's literally it's overlaying on top of it. And in reveal, this screen moves and it shows. And reveal is actually the one that we use, and it shows you all the different types. But I guess this is parameters, but we just want to use the reveal one. Reveal something else. I don't think really. Let me see. It's like, oh, there we go. Menu sides. So the side, so that you know what where you want the menu to be. But this is the one that we want. So side and in. So if we add that parameter, side equals in, and then we go back, now you can see that our menu is on the right side. And also you can see these changes as you're making them. It's pretty good at updating. So now we have our menu on the proper side, and that looks more like the actual website. Okay, the next element that we'll want to mess with, this is Ion split pane. Just do a control F search for it. We can see it over here so that we can jump to it. And basically what this does, by default, it's like this one, I think, if you do nothing. So if we come here and we stretch this screen, we can see that when the width is like 992, that you get a button for opening the menu, basically. And we can just disable that completely. By default, disable is false, but we can just add that property, disable, and just say that it's equal to true. And now it'll always be that way. And it'll always have a button for opening the menu. One thing that I just noticed in my original solution, which I guess wouldn't make any sense, but yeah, you can see that all of these ion tags are blue. And my original solution, if you don't actually import it, it causes it to be, that's when it's blue. And that's how you know it's not imported. I was wondering if it was because the Ion extension wasn't installed in this version of Windows, but that wouldn't explain why this one would be working. But I guess I can just try, see if that fixes it. Ionic, it's the official one. Let's see. It doesn't really make sense that this one would work when I open it here that way, and this one doesn't. Nope, still not green. Hmm. Yeah, I know that's a little weird and annoying, but yeah, when you don't import things properly, elements may not work the right way and stuff. So that is annoying. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, just gotta make a note of it, I guess. Anyway, it is time to start ripping out some of the stuff. You don't need these labels at all. That's in this list, this label list. Just rip that right on out. On some space there. Now that's gone. Now we just have these. This is in the favorites. Just go ahead and that's under views. Just so that it's not there, building me. Just get rid of this. And now it's gone. Okay. Like a small mistake here. This should actually have a colon in front of it. And this should be with no quotes because it's not actually a string. Don't know why I didn't complain about that. Because this is supposed to take a string or a boolean. Yeah. Yeah, the colon allows you to use TypeScript. TypeScript slash JavaScript, TypeScript in this case. Okay, let's go ahead and get our menu buttons replaced. I'm just gonna type this stuff. So the first button is an ID button. I mean an ID. Property. Sorry. Jesus button. Title is the veggie of Jesus, and our URL, Jesus, and the source, and that source is, don't have this SVG yet, but we'll have to go get it. Cross that SVG, and we have a background color. Background. Of 100. We'll just copy these. We only have 4 of them. 2, 3, and 4. Don't need this comma at the end. Don't need a comma at the end. And we actually don't need these semicolons either. And I only like to use semicolons when I actually need them. There are a couple places where you need semicolons and you have to have them. But yeah, I only like to use them when I actually need them. Last button is the about button. About. About. hmm. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to revisit that. Oh, right, no, because it is an icon. That makes sense. Help circle, which we'll have to import. I think that's the only ion icon that we actually need. Backgrounds, gray. I believe this is the only ion icon that we need at all. So we can get rid of all these other ones. Just need the one. Don't need this comma. Okay. It's about PLI button. This is our for schedule life insurance slash PLI. This is so Shield 3, but probably because be named that way. Okay. And then we have our M4A button. M4A button. This will be our Medicare all section. Section A. This is a Band-Aid SVG. This color is 39 DD 3I. And this one is supposed to be Royal Blue. Okay, let's see what we broke. Yeah, it's trying to find those SVGs, and it can't find them. Okay, so just looking at this, we'll have to get these 3 SVGs. One good place, not the only place used for this website, SVG repo. Go there. They have free SVGs and icons. Yep, free for commercial use. Anyone can use. So looking for the cross. Leave the crosses on page bed. Not. Hopefully it comes up. Not. This shit out of here. Obviously, if you want to do something different with your website, if you want to just work on your own website as we work through this, you can. There it is. Go ahead and download that. Oh, what did I call it? Just cross.svg. Cross, and we want to save this and repos source. Make it assets folder and svg folder. And we can save it there. Need a band-aid. Band-aid. I think these are the same. Probably. Band-aid. So the shield. Well, for the shield, I think I actually got it from Free Pick. At the very least, this looks like it at least. Looks like, oh, kind of looks like the shield. At any rate, it's the closest, like a dumbass. I didn't bookmark it, so I'm not completely sure, but this looks close enough to the shield. Yeah, Free Pick requires attribution, which just means that you need to give credit to them. You can give them credit right now. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just save. Well, I mean, this is a zip file. Let's see. Probably gonna have to do some work to it. Let me be quick about that. I have this JPEG. I'm gonna have to turn this into an SVG and recolor it. I wonder how. Let's see. See if it's easier to color this in pink. Probably not. It's not easy to get the order. Walk. crop. No, that is not the color. Okay, well, one way to get the color right, we just shouldn't that be the same color? I feel like it should be, but I take a screenshot of that, just paste this in. I just want to get that color. Okay, good enough. Crap. We'll just save this shield that PNG, which really I think being a PNG is probably good enough since we already have the color in it and it's not like we're going to recolor it. Cut this, go into the repo, source, assets, SVG, and just, oh, well, it's not an SVG. So I don't want to put, I don't call it an image folder. Image, swap. Cut this shield out. Okay, I think that'll be good enough. Actually, there is one thing that we'll have to do. We need to actually make the background of this transparent because we're not going to want a white square on it. Oh, let's see. Make PNG transparent. Let's see if the site that I normally use comes up. It's like a retouch or something. Yeah, retoucher is pretty nice. So come in here. This way we can make the background transparent so it's not like a white square. Now, this is what we want. Then download that. And we can just go ahead and save it over this shield. Now the shield's done. Okay, so we'll have to update this to be a PNG. And this is in the image directory now. This playthrough is not quite the same, but is any playthrough ever? Okay, so now that we've done that, let's see what's going on. Complaining about a comma. Okay, let's figure out a comma. All right, after that, let me figure this out. The other VS Code said to restart and update. It seems like that got me my green color. So that's cool. So now let's see if I get rid of this as the start book. Cool. So now it's working the way it was. I wonder if this is also working the way it was before. Cool. Now it does, and it tells you. Okay. Cool. Crisis averted. So cool. Now we can actually see some more errors. So that's nice. Could be what it's complaining about. We got rid of these things. We do not need these things. Complaining about this title. Oh, I see. There is no comma. I wonder if the error is a little bit more specific now. There's no comma after our IDs. So it's like the cross, like it's saying blah 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 source cross, but that's not helpful. Yeah. It's like oh so close to pointing us in the right direction, but then doesn't. So we just need commas here, but at least we can see this red because that is way more helpful. That's probably what it is. If I refresh it, stuff complaining at me. Not quite yet. Well, oh no, I think it's done. Cool. Okay. Cool. So now we're getting somewhere. Then we can actually see our buttons. Hmm. Jesus. And you see it changing the URL for us. Okay, making progress. Now we got to get our icons and stuff in there. It's asking about this Linux subsystem. We are gonna need this once we get to the smart contract. So maybe just install it so that it'll stop asking, and we don't have to do it later. Cool, so fast. And back we go. Okay, so there's a bunch of things that we can we're going to need to add that don't exist yet. So first, I guess let's create um, a folder called CSS where we can keep all of our global CSS, and we can make a new file for fonts and sizes.css. So all of our fonts, if not specified otherwise, will be of the font family Lucida console, and we don't want to do any text transforms. Say none. And what this means is that the text won't be transformed in any way. I think one way that I had seen it changing was that it would capitalize every letters. We don't want anything like that unless we explicitly say that. So now, in order to actually use this, probably let me see, did that? Because that shouldn't change anything unless we actually include it, because it's not gonna know any better. All right, if we got rid of this, we would see that nothing changed. Right? Nothing changed. And we need to actually include this in our main file. And we would just do import source slash assets slash CSS slash fonts and sizes. And that should pretty much be it. We don't need any of these semicolons either. I don't want to use them unless I need them. Look at them. Don't even have them up there. Not unless I need them. Okay. Source that main goes dot CSS. Okay, is this supposed to have a slash in front of it or what? Let me see what I did. Maybe. No. Yeah, it needs a slash in front of it. Refresh that, see if it's working now. Is it? Hmm. Forgive me. Error. No match found with path. Brian, we haven't done anything to our path. There's just so many things. So many little things, really. So in router, we have these indexes, and this is the default path. On our default path to Jesus, means that there's not much else to it. And I think that should be fine. But I mean, I guess we have to add like literally all of these other ones. There's only 4. It's not like there's very many these pages that we don't have. So let's just make some copies for now. M4A and about for now. I just want to make sure that it knows where to actually go. Not sure if it does know where to go. I think it knows where to go now. Now it knows where to go. So I think that changed the font. Too many things. So now, if we change this font to something else, see that one changed. Colon. Yeah. Okay, just leave it like that. Okay, so I dragged that here from the other project, but again, you have to add the missing 4, but there'll be a separate video for making outros in VSTC that adds that font and adds the missing 4 to it. So you'd have to go through that if you want to learn the process. Or, if you just want to copy this from the GitHub, you should not even bother that. You can, but obviously it's better to know how to do everything. Yeah, so now we're gonna want to add a font face. The font family. I'm gonna call it Metal Gear. Also, the way that these semicolons work with CSS, they basically function as commas. The last one doesn't need a semicolon, but if there's stuff before it, anything on top needs a semicolon. But the last thing actually does not need a semicolon. Okay. Font style is normal. Font weight, which I think is like how bold it is and stuff. But, feel free to experiment with this. And a source. Source. So the URL, but not really a URL. Source, asset, /font, /metal. Here, we also need a class that we can use anywhere. And our class will be called metal. And it's of the font family metal here. And give it a default font size of 17 px, but you can always change that later. But this is just a default font size. Okay, so if we were to replace this stuff, we'll just replace it with an ion label for now and just put it in a div ion label and just call this menu, and we'll put a class on it, and that class will equal metal, and we'll just get rid of this stuff. Okay, now let's go look at it. See, now we got our font in there, and yeah, making some progress. Okay, so we can also turn this into a button. Ion button, but I think we'll actually have to import this because there are no ion buttons anywhere else. And just to go over some of these elements, a div is just a divider or division, and it just says like this is one separate section. It can have its own classes, and then those just fall down to everything that's in it. Like here, you could use an ion label or an ion text, or you can just use normal HTML elements like P for paragraph. This can also be used for text. Like the difference between a label and text, functionally and aesthetically speaking, there is no difference, but technically a label is for a button, right? But aesthetically speaking, it's not going to do anything different. But yeah, it could end up with someone complaining. You're like, technically speaking, you're supposed to use a label and not a tag. But functionally speaking, there's actually no difference. But yeah, we can make it a button so that we can give credit to the font. Give the font. And we can make a new asset, new folder, column, helper, functions. And here, you can have a new file. I'll call it credit stuff. TS for typescript. And we can export this function so that we can use it in other places. Export function, give the font credit. Window that open. Could just copy from the thing. I don't really want to copy from the old code because, yeah, it's open source. You could go to the GitHub and copy it, but I'm trying my best to avoid that. It just feels wrong. If the point is to teach. And blank, this ensures that when the window opens this link, it's in a new tab instead of the current tab. So that is all that does. So now we have this and we have this. So now we just need to import it. So we can import this function. Oh, so these spaces don't really matter, but I don't want to. Source slash asset slash functions was it? Slash credits.ts. Okay. Why are you angry at me? Um, I think that it's fine. Although the red lines are different. So this is a problem that I had with the original project too when it came to importing TypeScript files. It'll still work, but it'll complain at you, blah, 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 which is annoying. But if I had put it in a Vue file and then exported that, it seems like it likes that better, or the editor likes it better. Yeah, it's working. It's working, but it's angry at us, and that is annoying and confusing as hell. What's even weirder is that they're both complaining slightly differently for some reason. Who knows why, but obviously it's working. So, hell are you gonna do? Okay, so we can fill this button in clear, fill equals clear, and just like everything else, if we came here and we looked, oh, there it is, Ion button. You come to the documentation, you can see different parameters that you can set, like for disabling it, expand, block, full, and the shape and stuff, how to fill it clear, give it an outline. All I did was make it clear. But yeah, the documentation's pretty helpful for that. Okay, so before we fix that, let's get rid of all the stuff that we're not going to be using. Pretty much none of this stuff. We're going to do everything ourselves. So they can just get rid of all of this block. Okay, so let's quickly go ahead and get this right. Gosh, not this one. Yeah, I keep clicking on the wrong one. All right, so we cleared that out. So for this menu button, we we have two different ways of styling things. You can do it inline or you can do it down and style with an ID or a class. To show you what inline looks like, we would just do style equals width, and we will say 100%. So the button will take up 100% of its container, like that. As you can see before, the button was not taking up 100% of its container, and that automatically centers it. But let's say we want it to do it down there with an ID. We'll call this ID equals menu button label. And this is an ID. And since it's an ID with CSS up the pound sign, if it were a class, we would do a dot, but it's not. I think we did that, right? With font sizes. Yeah, see this dot for metal because it's a class and not an ID. So we would do a pound sign. And generally speaking, you're supposed to only have, like, IDs are supposed to be unique, not like fucking Google trying to keep you from using Solana, script, YouTube, and shit. What did I call it? So we can also style it here, which is the same thing. It's just not inline, all right? This is style we could do with blah, 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 and that would be the same 100%, which we don't want to do. You don't want to do that. What we want to do, change font size. Must say it's 60 px. Why didn't you listen to me? ID menu button label. ID menu button label. It should have worked. And no, this should have worked. Shouldn't need a semicolon. It's by itself. So that is a little weird. Ah, fuck. Stupid fucking piece of shit. Do I just have to refresh? I don't know. That way you gotta make me look stupid. Get the fuck out of here, this ain't. This ain't the right one. Keep doing that. Okay, so now it's bigger. Also, I guess we don't want a capital M, because that gives it a tail. We don't need a tail here. Don't need a tail here. There we go. We get our line all through it. You can see the spacing here is it's a little too much. So we're going to have to do something about that. And just like a div is for the divider or division, we can use something called a span. And what this does is it basically allows you to add some styling in between stuff. So we'll just put the span here like that. You got to put the class metal in it. Oh gosh. Okay, you know what? I would just say screw that. I'm gonna just make the default font size for Metal Gear 60px. Oh, man. And because there's really not that many places that we would actually have to do this. Okay, so I think we actually want the M to be in the span. Okay. Oh, and then we'll just get it an ID. We still need this here. Yeah, on that side. And call it an ID of M. Say M, ID M, letter spacing, 0 pixels. Gosh, big ass gap. Not cool. Can you do that? Okay, you can. Cool. Uh, yeah, yeah. Okay, that looks good. Good enough. Okay, so in order to change the color, we're going to want to do color equals dark. And this is something specific to Ion elements like labels and text and whatnot. And this dark will allow us to switch from black and white or any color if we want, if we change our dark colors, but the default colors are black and white. You could also do light, and that would make it the reverse of that. It would be white and black. But we don't need to do that right now, so that looks fine. Okay, so we can go ahead and move that. That is actually in the folder page in the toolbar. I mean, eventually this is going to get moved anyway when we just make our own custom bar up here, but it's this Ion menu button. The primary is blue by default. We can just make that dark, turn it black, and the slot and stuff start will be end, and I'll throw it over that way. Make it a little less annoying. Okay. And this slot property, just like this colored dark stuff, is something that's just in Ionic. So this isn't like normal HTML. But anyway, now we need to go ahead and do something about these buttons and these icons and colors. Just to explain this, like this is the Ion menu toggle, and there's a V4. It's looping through these app pages, which is what's defined here. Basically a for loop, but in HTML. We don't actually need this key. That is like when I changes, like when this stuff would change, which it's not gonna, but that is what that's for. It would tell it to re-render. There's only like one place in the whole project that I've ever had to actually use it, but we don't actually need that. And we can rename some of this stuff so it's a little clearer. I'm gonna rename I index because I like that better. And instead of P, on the same menu button. Menu button. Let's menu button dot title. Menu button dot URL. And you can see the title and the URL in here. Okay. And just to explain this, right, this is really menu buttons inside of app pages, if that sounds familiar from Python. This comment index is just so that we can reference what index we're on. This is index 0, 1, 2, 3, and we're basically just applying a class of selected to that index. And yeah, and once we have that class applied down here, we can define that class and what we want to do when it's actually selected, which would be to color it. Okay, so now let's actually get them icons in there. So we have ion icon here, and we need to apply a source. We have a colon in front of it because we're not just putting a string. We're using typescript to define it, basically, or variables to define it. If it's not just a string, that's basically what you have to do. But what we say, source clock. Okay. Would have expected the other ones to pop up, but did not. Let's give our ion icons a size. What size did I use? Eh, That. Oh, we can target our element specifically. So the width is 60px, and at the height is 50px. All right, that makes it bigger. Don't know why you have a colon there. Get rid of that. And I guess I'll also update this as I go through it, kind of serving as a code review for my stuff. Just having a run through it again. Okay, so I just had to refresh to make these pop up. I didn't record that, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta refresh and stuff will pop up. Our PNG is not there though. Okay, let's go ahead and get our colors. Since this is so long, I'm gonna go ahead and just push all this stuff down. Feel free to indent this however you want. IA style equals summer. And since it's style, I think style is a little special. So background menu button background. Is that not quite the right format? What did I do? Well, they want quotes around it as well. Pretty sure we need the brackets, don't we? Right. I think it's fine. I think it just has to be selected. We'll keep going for now. Aside from that, there is also some color that hasn't been added, and that should go basically on the icon. This is not the right one. Color equals menu button dot color, which we didn't even add. So they're going to go do that. Okay, because that's not defined, and I think the Jesus one doesn't need color because it already has color. This one, which should be color equal. Color is dark. This color is success. Success is green by default, or what you use. Indicate green, which nothing's changing, but let's just go ahead and get it all in. And now I'm going to need it, and we'll get in our selected stuff after. Okay. house, and this has a royal blue. Huh. Did I must have got that backwards. Actually, there is no color on the island. I guess there wouldn't be color in it. I keep confusing these two bubbles. Okay. This is the one that we're working on. Doesn't quite apply, I think, since this is a PNG, but yeah. Color dark, color success, no color on that. Okay, let's get our selected. So we have an ion item, and it might have a class of selected if it's actually selected. And what we want to do, if it is selected, we want to target ion item selected, and also hover. We want to do something special if we hover over it. Item, if we hover, you could do your brackets like that. I don't know. I always don't like that. Background display text briefing underline. So now let me hover. If you get that nice underline, now we want to color it. This stuff, text decoration, and this is an ion variable. Ion color light is the same thing as when we color dark or color. When we have like a color here and we call it light or dark, it's the same thing. But this is the variable in CSS, but it is actually the same color. Don't let that confuse you. And I'll start tabbing because it is giving some suggestions. I should make the most of that. Copy this and select it. If we have it selected, display should be underlined. And I guess it's basically the same. Okay, let's see, get anything. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting some color. Nice. But our selected isn't being applied just right. We're going to have to do something about that, but making progress. Okay, so we can go ahead and debug why selected isn't working, and we can make sure that the class is actually being applied, because this is something that we would be able to see in F12. Right now, we're on the Jesus page, so if we come here, use this element selector and click on it, go to ion item, this is class, and we see that selected's here. And we would expect this not to be selected. And we see that this one, ion item, is not selected. But anyway, it seems like we did a colon, and this is supposed to be a class, so it's got, and that's the problem. And now it's colored. We can get rid of this stuff. We will need something later. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we'll need later, right? But yeah, that should take care of that. Cool. Now we can actually see, oh yeah, we see like when we click buttons and there's like this ripple effect. There was something that we can do to get rid of it. We'll get the old solution. We kill the ripple effect. This ripple effect false. Let's see, do we have something like this already? We can just stick this in this shape and keep that ripple. If you want the ripple effect, you can keep it, but I did not. All right. Says dot use Ionic Vue just here. So they're just yeah, it's just some parameters that we need for it. Ripple effect false. MD. I think that no, like MD is like for Android and iOS is for Apple. I think that's what that's for. I'm not sure if we need that yet, but I'm sure it'll come up. So now when we click, there's no ripple effect. Okay, cool. Okay, running kind of long, so the last thing that we can do in this video is add another CSS file. New file, we'll call this style.css, and in here we can add some classes. Then border, border, do then solid and roll thick border, thick, thick, and do the same thing but with underlining as well. Then underline and a thick underline. Okay, this would be text decoration. Just underline, colon underline. Same thing for thick, except will be text decoration, thickness, and do 4 px. Don't need that. Okay, so let's actually try using this thin border, applying it to our ion item. This here's thin border. Okay, so why didn't this work? Didn't work because we need to also import this new CSS file, just like we did our fonts and sizes, so that everybody in the project can see it. Style. And now it works. So now I'd like to point something out. It works here. Go to Edge. Works here. Go to Chrome. Works here. Go to Firefox. And it does not work here. So as a software developer, you might be tempted to ask, like, do we really need to get it to work for a specific browser? And if we were just to Google that's like, how many people use Firefox? 142 million. Obviously, no one knows who the fuck I am or this website or anything, but just say for shits and giggles that literally everybody that came to the website was using Firefox. This is what they would see. The borders not working. And that would be very sad. Not only would they not work here, but they wouldn't work anywhere in the project. So
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it.
It's something that we should definitely fix. And the way that we get it to work in Firefox, the only thing that you have to do is just get rid of these commas. And then magically it works in Firefox. Yay! So, having gone through this project, for over half a year now, I have concluded that from a developer standpoint, Firefox is kind of a pain in the ass because I have at least 3 or 4 other examples of issues that literally just fucking Firefox has. I think there's like one that Brave and Edge had, and there might have been one that just affected Chrome, but no, Firefox does it like shit. Like seriously, go on. Ask me how many hours it originally took me to figure that shit out.
Hey, here's someone who might understand how you feel.
Hey, how you doing? First day being
A software developer.
Yeah?
welcome to hell.
So if you want to know what other unique browser-specific errors I ran into, you'll have to continue your training down the 110 path. So I will see you in the next video.